#1 show on YouTube. Today we're discussing Falling Down, 1993, if I'm not mistaken. Shot in 92, released in 93. Michael Douglas, Robert Duval, directed by Joel Schumacher. Get my thing right here. Of course, I'm Ross Fens. We have Falling Up, aka Mosh Shinobi, and Wall Street rejoining us, making his second debut after Fast and Furious, Fast X, whatever that piece of crap was that we just
go most epic movies.
go look in our backlog, and you can handle that at your own time. What up, Pixie? Welcome back. I know you had the birthday trip going on. So any Falling Down fans, check in the chat. But we'll be getting right into it. This is like a urban 1990s movie. It's actually Warner Brothers. Who, I mean, I keep bringing it up, but I mean, Warner Brothers had a lot of stuff I like, throughout the duration from early 90s up into
before they became Warner Butchers.
Before they became Warner Budget, when they blew too much money on like Mad Max, what's it called, Furiosa. But yeah, directed by Schumacher. I think this is his best work. I would have to just go back and look at the look at his resume to see exactly what else he had. I don't believe it was Batman Forever. I'm more of a Falling Down guy. No disrespect to the Batman franchise. We could get right onto the plot, gents. William Forster is stuck in Los Angeles traffic on a hot day after his air conditioning fails. He abandoned his car, begins walking, carrying his briefcase. A lot of setup shots that Wall Street and I noticed there, close-ups on the people in traffic, and obviously him swatting at the bug in the back seat. Somebody like, for a crime movie where so many people die, some of the moments are just so like dark comedy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of comedic moments in this movie for a movie that is just like not the most positive, feel-good family fun. As we will see when we get into this these later couple sequences here, the second and third acts. But any initial thoughts on the heat waves or opening, Mosh or Wall?
Do you want to go first, Wall?
No, you go.
All right, rock answer. I just think the way it's shot, the opening where you see Defense, aka Michael Douglas, sat in his car, the sweat dripping down him, the tension building. It's building it already. You're already expecting this guy to pop off. Just the way the camera also revolves with everything around him. You see the kids in the school bus near him looking down at him. There's that moment where I think he tries to use is it the fan or the heater in the car? I think.
Yeah, I think it's maybe the AC when he tries to start.
Yeah, the AC. Sorry, the AC. Yeah, and then there's the radio, and we all know what it's like to be stuck in traffic, especially if you have to listen to FM radio repeating the same delightful track over and over and over. So immediately that's hooking the audience in because it's giving you something that we can all relate to. So that's one of the early impressions.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that as well. Like, I think I love the shot initially. Like, it kind of it's starting from afar and then pans in, like showing you all the traffic and the construction, and you can just feel the stress building, like Gaz said. And I think another great part too is just you can kind of feel his like inner anxiety as well. It's not just the frustration and stress. It's like the day-to-day anxiety of dealing with kind of the urban environment in LA and the city and all the different aspects. And they show it to you in that initial scene. I really like that.
Yeah, it's all the frustration of the commute and all that moment of like, even what you learn in that 5 minutes is like he's probably been doing this commute for like years, and all of that has built up into this final traffic jam heat wave where like you can see he's about to snap,
Well, it builds that connection with the central character immediately. As Mike just said there, this has been going on for a while. It's gonna pop off. As Mike said, to do with his anxiety as well. So that's excellent because, like, no matter when you watch this film, even if it's years from now, there's something there you can relate to. So, and it also I mean, it starts as a comedy. It gets darker as it goes along, especially when you get in the final act. But that human quality with Defense remains throughout the film, because you cannot help feel sorry for the guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very, very excellently written.
Yeah. The human element, despite him becoming like a raging psychopath in the end of the second act and moving into the third when he goes full psycho, it does do those callbacks to him watching the family tapes and, as Gaz said, his family life and, the fatherhood of the character, which like an extremely complex character for Douglas to play, to pull off like the snapping, lashing out at society, but at the same time, like a parent who obviously loves his daughter. One thing I was looking for was just if they had considered anybody else for the role. I don't see that.
They better not have.
I think he got involved early on, and then I was wondering about Ebby Rose Smith too, as Gaz was saying, who wrote the screenplay, just to see what else he wrote. But yeah, definitely a lot to unpack there. So pretty much gets moving pretty quick. We'll just come back to plot here. When he dips, he dumps his car, obviously, in the traffic jam, and then he makes his way to the store where we have the grocery sequence, and obviously Prendergast and the other highway patrol officer find his car. And that's when they have to move it. That's like the first introduction to Defense, first introduction to Prendergast. So,
what did you think of that exchange between the bike cop and Prendergast, where you've got like the over enthusiastic bike cop? Bike cop. My mind slipped there. You didn't hear that. Oops. What did you
say? Bike pig.
Yeah. I said something. Well, it was a C word, but it was something else.
Gotcha. Anyway, gotcha. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, yeah, I thought it was hilarious. I mean, you were talking about that part, Wall Street.
Yeah. No, I liked it because I think it's typical of what you see. Well, at first, he didn't realize that Prendergast was a cop, right?
Yeah.
So he was kind of like ordering him around and telling him what to do, and he was like, "Wait a second here, like this is what I do," and then kind of checked him. And I like the power shift dynamic, even though it was, only a few seconds in a small scene. Definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it set up that nice dynamic, and again, you kind of see something similar between him and the captain, which is, I'll just say, is revolver when we get to that in a very hilarious way as well.
Yeah, it's funny because it's also, we should mention, it's Prendergast's last day, so he has all these varying levels of relationships with the other officers. Obviously, that's the first one we see. Not just a cop, he's a detective, right? Which is like the higher level of officer, you know what I mean? So when he's like, hey, get back in your car, buddy, do this. He's actually like, well, I'm the detective around here, bud. You're the highway officer. Yeah. Obviously, his bike falls over, and they try to get back. And then the guy from Ohio too, absolutely hilarious. He's like the Ohio transplant or Ohio tourist or whatever. That guy is pretty funny too. Another funny side character. He makes his way to the Korean shop. This is where we get the first witness of Defense's crime spree. Definitely snaps on the Korean guy essentially because he wants to pay 50 cents for the soda. You guys can react to that sequence.
I'll let Wall Street take us in with this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like this scene a lot for very many reasons. One, he's negotiating price, which is interesting, right? Saying you inflate all these prices and it's ridiculous because the average person that probably comes into this LA corner store is probably fairly low income or average income, right? So this is where he kind of shows that he's kind of like for the people a little bit, even though he's expressing his own opinions. And then it's kind of spurs into this whole interaction, right? Where he's literally physically fighting him, pulls the bat from him. And then I love the the comedic aspect too, where he's like, there's the back and forth where he's like asking the prices, like, how much is this? And he there's this one part, and Ross and I were cracking up at it, where there's a whole row. He's like, how about this whole row here? How much? And I forget the specific product, but he's like, no, this whole row is
batteries,
and then just destroys the whole row. And I was just cracking up. I love it. And then he pays for his drink, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 50 cents. Great. He at the end he asks him, how much is this soda again? 50 cents. Okay, great. Gives him the money, opens the register, gives the money, and then walks out, and you just see the place trashed.
Yeah, his original price. Yeah.
Well, that exactly good point, Pixie.
Yeah.
That's why I feel this is probably always going to resonate with people for those very reasons. Because although it's there's it obviously gets darker, as I said, as the film progresses, but it's got that comedic kind of commentary and kind of like how they live does with consumerism as well.
Exactly. I was going to say that. Yep.
Yeah, and when Defense is leaving the store as well, Wall Street, when he says it was a pleasure visiting your establishment.
Yeah, no, I was being dying on that. Yeah,
He's so frequenting
it.
So funny.
Pleasure.
His sarcasm.
Yeah, the dry delivery. Pleasure frequenting your establishment. Clowns him. So it's as Gaz said, an interesting juxtaposition between Defense smashing the corner store and Nada. And They Live before he puts the glasses on in that grocery market, you know what I mean? Because that's when he's looking at all the subliminal symbols. So it's like 5 years apart between the two films, but quite similar scenes. It was batteries that set him off. So he was asking about that he tried to get him for the soda, and that's what started the argument. Like, no, man, you could see from the shopkeeper's response, like Wall Street was saying, nobody just walks in here and negotiates their own price on a can of soda. Like, most people just give me the money and we do the transaction and they get out of here. So that sets off the back and forth. When he's hitting him with the bat, he's like, and also the close up of the American flags falling, Gaz. I'm sure you saw that. That was a nod to the gimmick of like the made in China little disposable flags. He's like, take the money, and he's like, everybody's talking to him about the communication. It's like, what, they don't have V's in China or whatever. He's like, I'm Korean. There's a lot of that social commentary, and he's like, take the money. And that's when Defense different, like you guys were saying, paying for the soda. But the argument before that is he was like, you think I want to rob you? You think I want your money? And so when he's smashing the shelves, he's asking him the prices. He's saying like, this is too much. Like, what Wall Street is saying, it's overflated. By the way, can we talk about him complaining about overinflation in 1993 compared to modern inflation, guys?
Well, I wanted to mention.
Go on. I was just going to say, Wall Street, he drops that line, doesn't he? Can't we roll back the prices back to 1965 as well?
Yep.
That's what I mean. That's the golden age.
What I was going to say is, and there's numerous points within this movie, and we'll talk about it as well, is even though it was a 1992, 1993 movie, there's still a lot of aspects in society that we can relate to today.
Modernly relevant. That's what Gaz was
being
saying.
able to relate, like the inflation of prices, again, a little bit of like social unrest you can feel in this movie. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, in other scenes, but people being frustrated with like the status quo of what's going on in society. And even though this movie is, the setting is, 20, 30 years ago, we can still relate to these same 100%. Things today.
100%.
Yeah, and that theme continues because not only with the opening dialogue when he gets into the store, where South Park do an excellent job from a comedic point of then like they took our jobs, and everything, and then when he gets into the army surplus store later, which we'll get to. Of how somebody's got the wrong idea, I'll say, of people, and who's gone really, really far over.
Project your own extremism onto somebody else that you think represents what you represent.
And slips.
And there's lots of that today.
There is. It's like coming full circle, isn't it? And Slips just made a good point. from one of my favorite scenes in this movie. He said, "Did you guys know the Whammy Burger Girl is Dee Dee Pfeiffer's sister?"
Yeah, I recognized her.
That's awesome. I didn't know that, man. So really good point. But
tons of he knows his stuff. So it's like he's like the batteries. He's like 529. He's like 429, and defense caught him in the lie. He's like, nice try. He takes out the batteries. He's like, matter of fact, this whole shelf looks suspect, and he just starts going to town. And then the last thing he asks him, like, can of soda. He's like 50 cents. He's like, see, that's a reasonable price. I can get behind.
I'll take
it. Yeah.
Well, even the moment where he says, the storekeeper says, sorry. Go on, you can take all the money, you know. Michael Douglas, he says, "What, you think I was a thief? That I was going to rob the store, going to take everything?" Money, So, and again, that continues throughout the movie, just how people are. Well, he ends up becoming a full-blown psychopath, as you said, Ross. But just how people are thinking, right, this guy's going to be an out-and-out criminal or whatever, but there's actually a point to what he's doing. There's a reason there as well.
Yeah, it's not just like a random crime spree that he's robbing stuff or whatever.
And interesting when we learn about his backstory a bit as the film progresses as well. Get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So from there, he goes to the hill, right? Gang territory.
Yeah.
He gets checked by the two Mexican gang members.
This is classic.
Yeah, this is an absolutely ludicrous interaction. Like all Wall Street and I have been talking about is going to that park to try to go creep that hill so we can find so we can do our reenactment. But
definitely take some pics there.
Gotta put that on the channel, man. That'd be hilarious.
100%. Have to bring a bat up there with the briefcase.
Be a short.
So he's chilling on the steps, which they actually put those steps there. That's actually not on the hill, but I think this is the most like maybe iconic shot in the movie in terms of how it looks, and obviously the usually when you see the cover of the movie or the poster, it's defense sitting on the steps with like his briefcase and the baseball bat. Yeah, good question. Fire Pixie adjustable morals. So they come up to him and they're talking about like, hey, let's go check him. He's got the hole in his dress shoes, so he's trying to plug that with newspaper. That must have been a '90s thing. I don't know.
He looks through it. He looks through the hole.
Yeah. There's a couple shots of him looking at it, like setup shots. Those guys come up to him. They're like, he's like, I don't see any sign. He just has like sarcastic responses to them, and they're like, that right there, and they point to the gang tag. And he's like graffiti. He's like, no, it's not graffiti. Like it's like a warning sign or whatever. And he has that long paragraph. It says like, stay off our turf. And he's like, it says all that. This the back and forth.
He's like, maybe if you wrote it in English, I would understand.
He said the F word. He's like, well, maybe if you effing wrote it in effing English, I could understand.
Maybe I'd understand it. Yeah.
And then
no, go on, man. Sorry.
He's about to make some compromise with them. I forget what it is, but they're like, they say, give us your briefcase. And he's like, I'm not.
Yeah, he wants to walk away.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll walk away. He's like, fine, I respect it. This is your turf. Yeah. I stumbled upon here. I'll walk away. You guys can go on your way. I'll go on mine. But they weren't gonna allow that, which didn't work out too well for them.
They weren't gonna allow.
It's like a continuing series of events that's pushing him over further and further. Another hilarious scene later at the golf course when we get to that as well.
Yeah, I know the golf course is crazy for sure. We'll definitely be covering that. That's one of the one of the more unhinged sequences. If you can pinpoint which part of this movie is unhinged. It's essentially a sequence of unhinged sequences, but we'll be covering that. So a dispute arises among defense of the two gang members. He fakes him out, pretends to go get his briefcase, and then smashes him with the bat. Sends the first guy flying down the stairs. I don't remember what happened to the last guy. He just smashed him down with the bat or something.
The other guy runs off a bit, and then he throws the bat at him as well, and he gets the blade that was dropped on the floor and picks it up in that another iconic shot.
As they run away,
I wonder how they do that.
Butterfly knife, and as Wall Street was saying, he accumulates new weapons after each sequence. So he had the bat after the store. he had the butterfly after the gang member.
Yeah,
And we also haven't talked about Prendergast yet, except for in that initial sequence. So the whole time, Prendergast's wife is calling him at work. He's trying to work through his last day, but he keeps getting these reports of like a guy in a white shirt, tie, glasses, crew cut that looks like a defense whatever guy. And he's slowly piecing together that the guy that dipped his car in the traffic jam is the guy that raided the store, is the guy that got in dispute with the gang members. I think that other gang member goes and gives a statement, which leads us to where the movie, I think, starts to turn up here, as Wall Street was saying, which is when defense goes to make a payphone call. I love payphone references in 90s movies, by the way, because you can't get a payphone without a 90s movie, by the way.
I miss a good old payphone.
Right? Dude, just seeing them was, I mean, of course, all my Zodiac heads were well frequented with payphones. They came up all the time in the case. But, yeah, again, that was much before. That was the 60s. But, again, 60s to the 90s, it was, early, or I guess whatever you would call that, formerly modern American kind of thing. But, defense is making his phone call. The gang members return for drive-by revenge. They got their girlfriends or whatever, car full of guns, car full of gang members. They go to mow down defense. They completely miss by a mile. They end up shooting a bunch of like innocent bystanders while defense is on the phone. So I think this scene is so sick because they kind of slowed down the pace with that hill, other than him getting in the bat, skirmish. But like, it was kind of like it was just him sitting there, it was more like an isolated, calm scene. And then the way he left, it was like him walking off. I can't remember. Is that when the homeless dude pressed him for his briefcase? It was when he's walking out of there, right?
I think so. Yes.
Or actually,
after all that.
No, it can't be, because he was holding his briefcase on the phone, right? So I think he still has.
I think it's after, because he's got the. Has he got the gym bag by then?
That's in this fight. That's in this fight right here. He gets the gym bag
from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's after this. It's after he walks on here. Yeah, it's after. So right after that. So massive shootout with the gang members. Absolutely insane. And it just, like I said, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And Slipknot pointed out first of all, let's talk about the pacing of the movie is incredible. The music. Even use of sound effects. Yeah, even use of sound effects, like really, really damn good. Very underrated movie, as guys are saying. And so they crash, and then defense obviously sees what happened because they missed him. He comes up to them. There's like a dude bleeding out, crawling out of the car. They obviously crash, try to shoot him. And that's when he boosts their bag. You've got the leather duffel full of submachine guns and just various gang member guns. So defense gets a significant upgrade in armory here after this.
Yeah, there's a couple things here too. Like as he walks up to the car, he's looking at all the bystanders who they shot, right? And you can see his like frustration that they were basically collateral damage.
They killed random people.
And that he's going to do something about it. Now, my initial thought is like, okay, he's going to go kill all these gang members in the car, but he doesn't. He grabs the bag and then he shoots the guy in the leg, almost to make him suffer. I thought what was interesting.
I think he thought they were going to die. I think he thought they were going to die from the car crash anyway. So he's like you said,
so why bother?
I'm not going to cut him off from what they would die from anyway. I'm going to shoot him in the leg and let him bleed out from the injuries. You know what I mean? That's how I took it. What do you think, Yazzie?
The same. I think, though, he's still at this point
seen it
somewhat got some kind of reservation, which certainly goes as the movie progresses, whether he's holding back at all. But at this stage, I think he's still holding back somewhat, if you can say that.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I think that has something to do with it as well. I do think the camera work on this scene was good as well. To the way it shot the car, and you saw the whole gang members there lying, and he's approaching it. Reminded me of. I was just thinking when I saw this. Remind me of Dirty Harry when we were talking about that, when there was the guy, that shootout outside the bank, and one of them was lying out in the car, and Dirty Harry walks up to him. Kind of had that feel to it as well. So it was a very, very, very powerful scene, and again, is familiarizing with you of how this guy is going to spiral even further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like we said, pacing, escalation, and the way Abbey Rowe Smith wrote the script, like you guys were saying, like, so he hasn't. He had the chance to kill the gang members there, didn't really take it, but it kind of escalates into this next scene, which is the surplus store. Neo-Nazi, American Nazi owner. He, as we said, when Defense walks in there, right before he walks in there, you can see that guy's listening to the police scanner. So he's getting the updates of the crime spree, that there's some, like he probably takes it as like white guy crew cut, like someone like him. But as we're going to find out, there's quite a difference between them, and just some absolutely hilarious. Like this surplus scene is one of my favorites. I don't think it's really like one of the longer scenes from when he walks in there to when he gets out of there. But I think it's definitely one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Mine is I'm trying to behave myself. It's definitely the whammy burger scene.
Classic.
Me too.
I mean, the thing is that this movie is such a classic. We've talked about it for years, particularly the whammy burger scene. Oh, yeah. Everyone knows that scene as well.
Everyone.
Because you can still relate to that. You go in a subway or anything. And I'm just gonna wait. Because if I say it now, I'll just give it all away.
I'm ready for it too. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's next, right after he leaves.
But isn't this when the homeless guy does approach him, and I think Prendergast is talking to the girl who is in the car with the gang members, trying to find out. Did this guy get the weapons? Did they have Did the gang members have the weapons with him at the time? What's he got, kind of thing?
Yeah. He's getting onto the fact that Defense is rearming himself after every crime interaction or upgrading his arms. So he goes in there. He's looking at some boots to take care of the. We could do the homeless guy real quick. So that guy's harassing him and telling him he's like a Vietnam vet. And since Defense worked in
he drove down there.
Defense, he actually knows, like, he's like, okay, so like it starts questioning on him, like, do you know anything other than I was a vet? Clearly the guy doesn't, because that, he's just lying about it. But after the argument, he's like, I'm not giving you my suitcase. And then right before he is going to walk away from him, he knows that he has the freaking duffel full of machine guns or whatever it is at this point. So he's like, okay, fine, you take it. I don't need it anymore. Gives it to him and walks away. That guy starts going through it because he thinks it'll be like money or something valuable in it. It's obviously just like his lunch that he was like bringing in every day. It's essentially the suitcase was empty the whole time, which calls back to the gang interaction when those guys tried to fight him for his suitcase. He fought them over nothing because there was nothing in it anyway. So it just shows that like it was about him not letting people step on him, you know what I mean, at that point. So
did you think this was such a smart exchange with the humor in it? Because again, it's something people can relate to. Because if you go in any city, and this is going to sound horrible, but you get approached by someone who is homeless as well, and sometimes you have to sit wondering, well, are they homeless? Because there's stories of a lot of people that will go into like local bus stations, get change, pretend they're homeless, get money off people, and the whole conversation with the homeless guy saying, "Oh, I drove down here from San wherever." So Defense says, "Right, can I see your driver's license?" He's, "Well, you drove down here, didn't you?"
Not that he says has a backing of the story. And he's just bull crapping.
And then the guy kind of goes away, gives up, and then he keeps following Defense. And when they walk under I think they walk under a bridge or something, like through a dark alleyway, I think. And he says, "Come on, I need something. I haven't ate man for like 3 hours." He's got a sandwich in his hands.
Yeah.
And he's eating something else. I love that.
Yeah, you got 2 bags. Awesome. I don't have any bags. Give me one of your bags. You know what I mean? It's just like a ridiculous argument. But that guy's funny too, though. I mean, for like a side here, like he has a cool little cameo role,
Yeah. But again, it's that concept people can relate to, because it's it always seems to happen when somebody's in a rush. You're late for getting in for work, or you've got an appointment somewhere, and you don't want to seem like an absolute, I can't say it on the stream. And then that always seems to happen. So I think that's why that whole exchange again is very
someone starts hassling you at the least inopportune time. You know what I mean?
Especially in California. I mean, we know it. We deal with that literally all the time, like someone bothering you. Are they really in need? Are they not?
Yeah.
You know, you have to make that distinction sometimes or ignore them. And he
Very
chose to
greater
interact with them.
LA thing. We're technically in the greater LA area here. So and then so he goes through, he sees that it's nothing, then he starts like yelling at him or whatever. He takes the apple out, right, and throws it at defense like Wall Street was saying, and he just ignores him and kicks it.
Yeah, he kicks it. So he knew the guy threw the apple because the apple rolled by him and he just kicks it along. Like,
he kicks it, walks away, but busts the left. I'd have to double check what he runs into. Is it I know he runs into a couple construction guys and he gets agitated.
Oh yeah.
That's when he's be there.
Yeah,
he's went at the bus stop. Yeah, and he says take your tootsies and walk around, isn't it? Yeah. We get an interesting construction scene later.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we do.
Demolition derby.
I love that scene as well. I think after the Whammy Burger scene, which we're going to talk about in a moment, that's probably one of my
Foster passes a bank where a black man is protesting after being
yes, economically viable
alone. The man exchanges a glance with Foster and says, "Don't forget me," as he's escorted away by police.
More caffeine.
So he sees. There you go. Get your fix. Not economically viable. I think Crime Spot said it earlier. Everybody
remember me.
Crime Spot. Yeah. So he gets detained, and as he drives away in the car, he says, "Remember me" to defense. Defense nods to him as a salute. Both. I think it was Minty Comedic Arts, and I've sent you his channel before, guys. That me and you were watching Wall Street when he did a whole breakdown of like that not economically viable guy is like a metaphor for defense. They're both dressed the same, wearing essentially the same outfit. Cool, man. Appreciate you, Jeff. So that's kind of cool. I kind of like that take on like it kind of shows like defense is not racist. It's more of a thing about like and then we're going to come to that race theme in this next scene, but it's more of a mythos on both of them are like a similar, like, both probably got laid off their jobs it's more of like an economic class thing than it is like a racial class thing. That's how I took it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the point it's making. And I mean that just before you get to that, when the homeless guy first bothers him and the camera shows you some people that are sat there, you've got a vet. I think what's on his sign, need food, need money. I think it says, well, it does says vet. There's another guy. I think there's someone with another sign. So it's showing you already that breakdown. People, I guess, who've put in that sacrifice to serve the country, who then completely forgotten about something that still happens, sadly, on both sides of the pond. So there's subtle hints there at many different areas and how people then, as you said, not economically viable can be forgotten. And this leads us up, Ross, to I know it's one of my favorite scenes of Whammy Burger scene, but I think that is before the surplus store. Because the guy commentates on that. He say, remember the guy says, "Oh, I heard about you on the police radio. You shot up the Whammy Burger."
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I missed that. Yeah. So, Whammy Burger, I'll let you guys take it away. I know you guys.
I wanted to add a little bit to the economically viable. I mean, I think this is an important scene. It kind of is continuing to paint the picture of this relationship of like frustration and civil unrest, but also like it's kind of an attack on the middle class, right? Because I didn't view it as a necessarily racist thing either. I viewed it as, okay, this is like the middle working class,
right,
who's now like frustrated with society. They're losing their jobs. Defense empathizes with this as well, right? Because and you could see him kind of really looking at this guy and being like, oh, this is kind of interesting, this is kind of different, this guy's fighting against society, just kind of like I am too. And that's why when the guy says, don't forget me, and I can't remember if he says I won't or not. Does he? Does he reply to it?
I think he just nods. Does he?
I think he just nods. You're right. He nods.
He says something.
But that's how I viewed it. Is like it was again like people working for society, but then society really not like helping them become successful, or
people working
continually
for society, but not society working for people.
Working for them, yeah, exactly. That was my exact point.
So like basically like he's a parallel of the defense character, like Wall Street said. Defense, we're gonna find out later, is laid off of his job, but he's just been going out every day pretending to go to work because that's like his routine, and he doesn't know what else to do with the time. That the not economically viable guy, he goes to the bank to get a loan and he can't get it. So it's representing like two guys that have been working 9 to 5s that are trying to take the next step, but they can't even do it. Even then they've been showing up every day, as a working man, and
that whole scene is very powerful, because we could argue a modern parallel with that, with something that we've been chatting about in recent years. Well, many people haven't still at the moment, especially with the greater role of AI, if they're going to use more advanced robotics and AI in production plants, etc. So then manual jobs could then pretty much disappear for a lot of people. So then I'm not economically viable because I've lost my job, because a bot or whatever can do it so faster and in such amount of time. So that is still going to resonate with folks.
Yep, definitely
100%, bro. 100%. I was going to make that argument earlier when you guys brought it up earlier. I would argue that films such as this become more relevant with current events, because when you have this kind of like inflation spiking, AI technology, automation of the job, stuff as you got all kind of, I guess you would say current events, but it's amazing to see something this guy wrote in, I guess, before 92. You can rewatch it every time. And then me and Wall Street picked up a bunch of new stuff in this watch of things we never noticed before. I've probably only seen the film maybe 3 or 4 times, 4 or 5 at the most. And there's always more in there. Let's get on to Whataburger.
Yes. Guys, take it away.
Oh man.
This is such a great scene.
Love this. So, I mean, there's so many iconic favorite moments in this movie, but this has to be. So, Defense arrives in Whammy Burger. Man, this is so relatable as well, because we've all been there. Whether it's a Subway, KFC, which I have another name for, which is not hard to figure out if you think of the abbreviated letters, Kentucky Fried something. So go to any of those places. And we've all seen, you see the pictures, the photos of what you're going to order, and it looks fantastic, doesn't it? So he gets in, and how it starts is Defense wants to order breakfast. And the waitress, and I'm trying to recall her name now. If someone knows, please drop it in the chat for us. And she says, "Sorry, sir, we stopped serving breakfast at 11:30. And Defense says, "I want my breakfast. Please, I would like some breakfast." And saying, "Sorry, we've stopped serving it." He has to speak to the manager. Remember, the manager's name is called Rick. Defense drops an amusing line. "Why am I calling strangers by the first names? You think we've been to an AA meeting together?" I love that. It's just genius comedy as well. So he says the same, he essentially asks for breakfast again. And Rick explains that we cannot serve breakfast past 11:30. So Defense looks down at his watch. And again, we've all been in this situation. It's like 3 or 4 minutes over.
So many times.
And you think, really? Wall Street twice a weekend.
Oh, dude, the same.
So often, bro.
Dude, I've been at Hungry. Sometimes I've even offered to pay them more. I said, "I will give you extra if you actually give me the blatant breakfast box. I can see that's not going anywhere."
Yeah, exactly. It's like all the ingredients disappear out back when it goes past 11:31. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're like robots as well. This is turning into a personal rant here, so maybe but they're like robots. "I'm sorry, Sam, we can't serve you breakfast after that." Yeah, I love this film. Can't tell why. Not that I'm going to do Defense. Don't worry, folks. So where was I? Sorry about that. Part Welsh and Irish. That's my excuse. And Northern altogether. So so yeah, he's told right, he has to order something from the lunch menu. And Defense doesn't it? It's just when he puts a briefcase on the counter and then the gym bag as well, and then gets out an Uzi, I think, isn't it? So he gets out the Uzi, so everyone is obviously panicking in the restaurant. Rick, I believe she might have been called Amanda, actually. They're looking somewhat disturbed, as they obviously would do. They said, "I would like some breakfast." "Oh, okay, sir. and he's asking everybody if they're okay, if they're enjoying the meals and so on. And is this where he accidentally, his trigger finger lets loose before he says, I'll have something from a lunch menu? Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Because that seems hilarious.
It out. Yeah, it's like when
he's holding the it's like he shoots straight to ceiling.
He goes, the trigger sensitive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a mistake. It's really sensitive.
Yeah. Everyone got scared because they thought he was gonna like randomly like shoot up a fast food restaurant. He didn't even mean to do it.
Tons of families and young children.
Yeah, that's it. Pixie's right. I'm sorry. The trigger's sensitive. It's very sensitive. Yeah, such an iconic line. So then of course, Go on, Ross.
I was just gonna say when they give him the burger and he compares it to the graphic on the screen.
Wow, that's what I'm getting.
Now look at that. Like,
everyone's felt this way.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what everyone remembers. Thanks, Slip. It was the girl was called Sheila. Is when he gets that lunch menu and he opens it, he says, "See, this is what I'm talking about."
Yeah.
And he points to the picture. Look, that's like 3 inches thick. It looks juiced and everything. And what the hell is that? And he holds it up, and I just thought,
sorry, squished.
Yeah, that's kind of my face every time I go in Subway. I'm like,
yep.
The way they squish that. I know. It's back to the consumerism theme. It's false advertisement to show this plump burger that you give me this squished, soggy, sorry. And he's like, when he looks at the crowd, he's like, does anybody see something wrong with this? And that little kid raises his hand. Yeah. The little kid talks to him. That's the last. Awesome. Like, it's
crowd interaction.
Yeah.
But it's so everyone remembers that moment because all of these fast food restaurants are like that majority of the time. I've rarely, it's somewhere usually you're forced to go to if you haven't taken any food with you, or there's no alternative. So it's like, oh man, I have to go in and live on this stuff, especially if you're at a festival as well and you have to live on that all weekend. And that's why it's so powerful and it's so iconic for that reason, because the reality compared to the false advertising.
Everyone knows that. Everyone
knows this scene. I mean, it's viral on social media. I sent it to Wall Street and Mac. These clips are everywhere, of course. And let's talk about one industry that probably hasn't changed the least bit, as Gaz said, since 92, 93. Fast food. Nothing about this would change if you walked into a fast food.
Nope.
Except for with inflation, instead of $4, you'll be paying $24. But
exactly. Yeah.
Defense's earlier point.
The prices change, but nothing else.
Quality is still crap. I think the kid was the only one to respond because
definitely
life long enough to know how bad it actually is. Yeah, good point, Pixie. I like it.
And Slip's point as well is Whammy Burger is standing for McDonald's. Yeah, or the other one as well, possibly.
I'm pretty sure I know where they filmed that, Wally. I think it's an old burger place. So I'm not sure if it might still be a burger place today, but we should go up to that building and do some side by sides because that location is still up there. It's not too far from being Wally. I think he ordered a double omelet with cheese, I think was his order when he first walked up, which was the breakfast order. But
the breakfast is always better, right? Like inclusive of McDonald's. Like I personally like the breakfast better, but
and just the interactions with that manager guy, like that dude was like perfect as like obnoxious fast food manager, like
customer's always right.
Yeah. You ever heard the phrase "the customer is always right"? Well, Rick, I'm the customer.
I'm the customer.
Yeah.
And I want breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want lunch. I want breakfast.
I will have a little lunch now that you said something, Chila. Thank you. I love the scene. Absolutely hilarious. Feel free to jump in with anything you guys have on it in the chat. Other than that, I got ahead of myself. We can go back to Surplus Store. He was looking at the hole in the shoe in the parking lot when he walked in. Yeah. So he's got to get that handled. Makes his way down to the Surplus Store. Part of it was Foster's vanity plate that helped Prendergast track him. I didn't really notice that Wall Street when we were watching it last time. So he stops to buy boots. Torres. Actually, hold on. Before we get to Torres, there's a couple of patrons in the store when the guy just starts ripping on the two gay guys like unnecessarily because defense
completely unnecessarily. I wouldn't have even known they were if he didn't bring it up, right? Like, it wasn't
he made us know, didn't he?
He made it very known.
But if they were just guys in the background, you wouldn't even know who he was talking about. And so he just goes over to defense, who he sees him looking for boots, and just tells him that they're great for stomping cues. I'm not going to repeat all of his language because I don't know what will get us.
No, we shouldn't
demonetized. But he calls them the other F word, the Q word, and other various things of that nature. Gets into interaction with them, a bit of a altercation, and they're about to leave, but that the racist guy keeps going in on them. And then one of the guys, they're like obviously bodybuilders because that one guy in the one piece is like obviously Jack. So he steps to him to fight him. And he draws the revolver out of it. I think he has the iconic "Make a move, Mary" line.
Yeah.
That character, like, man,
alliteration.
In a movie where there could be a character more unhinged than defense, you know what I mean? That guy nailed it. You know what I mean? Like, because you're already
he was good.
Yeah, you see what defenses does and what he's capable of, and like that guy is like way dialed up compared to
It's like that guy's drank 15 coffees or something as well.
Yeah, dude.
I think next after that exchange, that's when he shuts up the store, and he offers to take defense in the back and says, "Look, I want to show you something, and I don't show you this to everyone. And I know you're a big fan of this scene, Ross, so I'm going to hand this moment over to you."
Real quick, guys. Torres comes in, right, and that guy throws her off the trail.
Oh because he's hiding in there. Yeah, you're right. He's in the changing rooms.
And he's got the bag there. When he sees Torres come in, he kicks the bag back up under the blanket. Like, hey, you seen anybody like white shirt, suit, a tie, white button-down shirt, tie, crew cut. And he's like, he throws Torres off the trail because he knows she's looking for him. Because before defense walks in, he was listening to the police scanner, like me in Wall Street. So there's there's some little like functional scenes you could miss in this movie. If you're getting a drink or getting some chips out of the cabinet, you miss like one of those, like how it all connects. Like it actually has a really, Wall Street and I were talking about this yesterday when we watched it, but an amazing flow to the pacing. And there's a lot of little like connection, connective tissue scenes like that in between.
Yeah, because he has that exchange with Torres, I remember now, after that. And it's just to highlight further just how racist this guy is and how kind of far over he's gone. So you're presented with two examples, which we'll see totally revealed in a moment when Ross talks about this. You've got defense, who's I guess going off the rails, but there's a different reason to it. He still isn't considering himself a villain, a bad guy, as the final act shows us further. But this other guy, the army surplus store owner, now he's also gone off, but he's fallen into that whole narrative. All right, it's everybody else coming in, it's all the minorities, etc., taking our jobs. They're all responsible for the decline and everything. So you're presented with that contrast of, both of these guys are obviously unhinged, but they aren't the same as the store owner thinks they are, but they're not.
Agreed. Defense attributes it to like the oligarchs and the establishment, the system, and the government. And that guy's saying, "Oh well, the economic decline. Well, it's obviously the minorities. You know what I mean? The obvious angle that any racist would take. None of this would be happening if they weren't taking our jobs. Blah blah blah." So he brings up. He's like, "Hey, I want to show you something." Because he's telling him, you could take your crime spree up to the next level. Brings him out back to the hidden, top shelf products where he has all his Nazi memorabilia, and it's like pictures of Hitler, the Santa Claus suit with the swastika
crazy
armband, as Wall Street pointed out, and basically just World War II, Nazi memorabilia, which a lot of people collect World War II memorabilia, but this guy clearly has
the gas, didn't he, as well? He's got this Icon D.
When he shows them,
because it was used,
it was used. Smell it.
This says, "Hey, you're not empty. This was actually used at Auschwitz, or to be used in the gas chambers." And that's when he's tells him like the whatever, like I'm like you, you're like me, and that's what defense finally like. What are you talking about, man? Like I'm an American, defense contractor, meaning the type of stuff I design is to America's, enemies, i.e. the Nazis. You know what I mean?
I'm a patriot, in other words.
Yeah. You're in here celebrating the enemy with this little shrine to Hitler. So once he disagrees with them, he's like, hey, I want to give you this, I want to give you that. And he's like, no, you're not like me. That's when he switches on him, and he's like, all right, you're going to jail. And then he's going to rat on him because now he doesn't agree with him with the right wing ideology. So he handcuffs him down there, and he's like, give me your other hand. Defense, I can't. I'll fall down. Multiple references to London bridges and falling down. Gaz, I'm sure you caught those. We actually didn't mention before, economically viable, when he's buying the snow globe for his daughter, and
for birthday.
The song was London Bridges. Like all that whole London Bridges theme, I totally missed that. Like my last few viewings.
Yeah, me too.
Film, but it obviously pops up here. He does get one cuff on him, and that's when he's like talking to him. Hey, you're gonna go to get a prison. All the bad things that are gonna happen to him there. Of course, you could all guess what he's saying to him there. If you've seen the movie, you know what he says. Defense draws the butterfly straight to his shoulder, drops him, and that's when he gets his defense gets his pistol ultimately and dispatches the racist character. But I think this is the most extreme scene of the movie, just because like the Zyklon B reference, the all the Hitler imagery in the background, and just like that, like you get the idea he's a messed up character when he's disrespecting the minorities, if you will, but when he takes him out back there, and he's just like, that guy's lines get like increasingly, you're like, this guy's increasingly far gone, you know what I mean? And then you can kind of see it on defense's reaction. You can see his face, like you can just tell from his facial expressions, he's not agreeing with what he's saying, even like, going along with it, like.
I like this. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. Go on Wall Street. Get word, man.
Thank you, sir. I was just going to say, I like the fact that defense fought back in essence, like even just verbally initially, right? Because a lot of people in this scenario, cops have already come in looking for him. He's on the police radar. He needs supplies. He really kind of needs this guy's help, rather it's the boots, the clothes, or the weapons. A lot of people could have just said, you know what? Yeah, this guy's racist. I can just agree, get everything I need, move on. Move on. But he didn't. He kind of stood on business, stood on his like morals and values. Like, no, I'm not like you. Like, I'm a patriot. I work for this country to help defend this country. You're a racist piece of shit who's just trying to blame all these other people for America's problems. I'm not like you. Like, I'm
fighting for freedom.
So I like that. And we see the shift too. Well, we've talked about it more, like how more and more violent he kind of becomes. I believe this is his first kill, right? Like, because he fought him on his ideals, and then the guy obviously tried to, arrest him, rat on him, whatever he was going to be. And that really frustrated him to the point of, no, this guy's an extremely bad person, and now I'm going to eliminate him.
Yeah, complete scum anyway. So he's got the butterfly knife on his shoulder. Defense finally shoots him with the pistol.
And he let off a few shots on him to make sure that.
Exactly. Made sure he would stay down.
It was over.
You knew it was gonna go this way right from when defense is right. I'm exercising my right as an American to disagree with you. That's what we do here. This is what you said, Wall Street.
Freedom
and then,
of ideas.
of course, it escalates further, as you were saying, Ross. Right, this guy isn't aligned with my ideology, so I'm going to try and cuff him, turn him into the cops. And of course, that's him with the butterfly knife, then leading up to him shooting him. And I think my guess is that I really wanted to drive this point home, make it such a powerful scene, make it probably one of the most extreme violent scenes in, to show you that contrast between the two ideologies, so that people think, this is just some white guy lunatic going off here. No, it's to do with, again, the decline of society, let down by the business, economics, etc., with defense's side, whereas the other guy has the extremist right-wing ideology. All minorities took our jobs, etc. And I think I mean, I think this is a fantastic role Douglas did. I mean, he even said himself it's one of his favorite roles. But you're right, Ross. Even some of these minor characters, they put in a shift for sure, even though memorable. Even the guy playing, the racist store owner here, his performance to get that character across for, look, hey, this is what this guy's about. I thought it was excellent. Obviously not, his acting.
Yeah, his acting was awesome.
Everybody from the original Korean shop owner to that guy, like without those characters, they're the catalysts for defense's escalation. So you wouldn't have defense's transition from he shot the gang member and those guys are killers that drive by a whole block of innocent bystanders. He still didn't kill those guys, but recognizing that this guy stands for, the enemy of freedom, you know what I mean? Essentially, that's like what drew the line for him. So then he does flat out like eliminate that guy. So it's all part of defense's like character arc, story transition. But yeah, pretty epic. So he changes into the fatigues. He finally drops the business attire or his office suit that he's been, clothing that he's been wearing for the whole movie.
And that symbolism as far as him shifting into this different character, killed someone now.
Vigilante, full. He goes full vigilante on him. The owner offers Foster a rocket launcher and congratulates him for the shooting incident at the restaurant. When Foster expresses distaste for the store owner's bigotry, the man becomes violent, attempts to turn him over to police. Foster stabs him, then shoots him. Foster changes into army clothes, takes the rocket launcher, and leaves. So I think this is his second encounter with a road repair crew, and we know that defense is trying to get home. He was already frustrated with the first one. So, I mean, you saw what happened in the last scene when he scored the rocket launcher. So defense is, he's not going to hold up with any more construction postponements, delays, or detours in this trip home that he's taking across L.A. So the crew is not working and accuses them of doing unnecessary repairs to justify their budget. He pulls out the rocket launcher but struggles to use it until a boy explains how it works. Me at Wall Street were dying at this scene because only in LA could you see a guy loading up a RPG in an urban construction zone and then some kid starts telling him how to use it.
Yeah. He's like a walkthrough from a 10-year-old, isn't he?
How did you learn all this stuff? I saw it on TV.
yeah, I saw it on TV once.
Right down to the trigger and where you're aiming it.
Yeah, I think it's right there.
The trigger's
what movie you're shooting. What's the name?
Extend the sides and look down the viewfinder for the aim, and like the whole shot is hilarious. Foster accidentally fires the launcher, blowing up the construction site. By the time Foster reaches Beth's, just kind of obviously that's Wikipedia. We'll unpack that a little bit more. So there's more interaction there. The kid is asking him like where the cameras are because he thinks he's filming a movie.
What's sick movie? He's like, yo, this is gonna be a sick movie.
Obviously there's no cameras. Except for the falling down cameras, there's no crew on set.
Also, the interaction defense has with that first worker he's talking to, where he's saying, look, you guys are just dragging this out, to justify the budget. And what is it he says? It's just before he gets the rocket launcher out, and he says, right, I'm going to give you something to fix.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Well, it's like the store owner, he makes him admit that like he's right because he sees the pistol in his waist. So he's like, I think you guys are just making stuff up. And he's like, well, I'm just here to make sure people don't fall in the hole. He's like, so what are you working on? I don't really know. Somebody presses him on it.
And then he goes into like the budget too. He's like, no, I know like you guys have to spend all your budget to get the same spend next year. And
the quota.
I'm just trying to get to work. That is a parallel back to the beginning of like, I'm just trying to get to work and do my day to day, but I'm stuck in this nonsense all the time. And again, societal kind of issue. So I like that too.
Agreed. Yeah, the commute trope. But he says like, okay, well, you're not working on anything. Okay, well, I'll give you guys something to fix.
Yeah, I'll give you guys something to fix. And he did. Boy, he did.
So when he fires the rocket and it goes down the conduit and it goes down the tube and it explodes out whatever explodes out at the end. They can't see it at first, right? The kid's like, "Where did it go?" or something.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah, and there's like that look of disappointment, and then when it explodes and you see the workers running kind of towards the defense, and the back shot of people in the background, they're kind of looking frightened and horrified, and the kid's having the time of his life. It's like, yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, this is sick.
Excellent.
It's a great scene.
Yeah. The construction crew is like running away with this massive fire explosion in the background, and those guys are like high-fiving, celebrating like that. Yeah, again, another one of the by far awesomest shots of the movie.
Yeah, it's so memorable. So well executed. The dialogue, the delivery, everything about this, truly iconic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there was like the couple scenes. This is kind of the only like downturn really in the movie. I wouldn't really call it a downturn because it's broken up. But obviously, Foster calls his wife and kid when he leaves the surplus store, right? Because there's all the flags and stuff in the background, and he's on his way down to Venice, where she lives, and she's down on the pier. He obviously, I think that's when he goes to the house and he's watching the home videos of his wife and daughter before they were divorced. And that's when it focuses more on Prendergast, and we haven't really been, we've been more talking about defensive story arc than we have Prendergast. Prendergast, obviously, Prendergast had they had a cake for him at the party. He punched that annoying guy in the face and sent him face first in the cake. Because Duval's the man. Like that guy just went straight in.
And he stands up to his wife on the phone as well.
Yeah. He finally they both represent like that generation, like 50s, 60s, and they're both like snapping. Obviously defense has done his commute, and then Prendergast is getting sick of his routine too, so he's snapping on everybody. So punches that guy. Obviously, wasn't there an argument with his chief too, guys? Like that guy was like.
There was that. Yeah, his chief insinuates that he's a coward, that he daren't go back out on the street, stay behind the desk. And there's a comment further, I think, from Torres earlier that kind of suggests that Prendergast is staying behind the desk because of his wife. His wife is he's pretty much I want to put this delicately. His wife is the more dominant in the relationship, and he's kind of doing everything just to keep her happy. And this scene, he eventually tells her to shut up, actually. And then this is where next he punches the annoying guy out as well over the birthday cake.
He starts going off on everybody.
Yeah, we'll come back to the captain, who Prendergast has the final word with, which is excellent. Well, that's in the final act, so we'll definitely come back to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was I saying about Prendergast? Oh, and then he's got like the dinner with his partner and stuff, because Torres obviously because they've been partners for a long time. So kind of follows that up to the point, and then obviously, as Gaz said, Prendergast is interviewing all the people that have come into contact with Foster, and that's how he's able to like put together like his investigation is like this guy dumped his car in the morning, he went and had all these other interactions, and then it obviously escalated to finding the dead body in the surplus store and blowing up the construction site, which is pretty much Foster's final journey before getting to Venice, where they've kind of figured out that he's going to his old house, and the cops have figured that out because his wife has reported it. There was also that blurb in the beginning that me and Wall Street caught when Prendergast is reading the article about an officer who got shot in the line of duty. So it was like foreshadowing that, like, if Prendergast takes that risk to go confront defense, he could get shot or could get killed
on his last day, which would be like very ironic.
He'd be like retired after that. So what is Pixie? If he took a desk job not knowing just because of his neurotic wife, for sure, good call. Good call. So it's basically, I think we're basically at the final sequence here, guys. Obviously, he goes home, watches the home movies. When they confront him at his wife's house, I think Torres, gets to him first. He shoots her on his way to the pier, where he finds out his wife is out there on that was at the Santa Monica pier there. Adele is his daughter. Once he approaches them, Prendergast obviously knows he's out there, so this is the first interaction of Prendergast and Foster, knowing that Prendergast has been tracking him in the investigation through the movie. It's kind of their first face-to-face. Foster's got his daughter and his wife, and obviously he's armed from everything that's happened up until on. So it's like we're not really sure what's. I like the way they set this up that we don't really know what's going to happen here at this standoff. Obviously, the police are going to have Foster stuck down there, but he's got his wife and his kid. So how do you stop him before he does something even worse? It's kind of the situation it is. So
yeah, definitely, and the conversation between Prendergast and Defense, the way it kind of brings the whole movie together. This is where Defense actually says to Prendergast, "Did you know that I built missiles, to help defend this country?" Which Prendergast had learned earlier, and he'd visited Defense's mom's house as well, and and that's where you found out he'd been fired from his job a month ago. So this kind of downward spiral had already been building up. Agreed. And that moment in the heat wave was like the first ticking point, I guess, that just started setting it all off.
Yep.
And it's that line, I think, where we forgot the golf course. We forgot the golf course, fellas, before this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yeah. Okay, whoops. Yeah, that's yeah. It's because it skipped it on Wiki. My bad. Yeah. So coming from the construction site, he cuts through a golf course. That's like your typical golf kind of characters. I mean, it's kind of messed up because does he? He shoots the golf cart, and that's what.
And the guy has like a heart attack.
Yeah. The guy basically has a heart attack. He has his medicine in the golf cart, and it rolls down the hill into the pond. And he's like, "Oh, my medicine." He's like, "Where's your medicine?" I forget what does he say to him? It's something about
in the golf cart. It's in the golf cart, and it's going
he told him
into
the golf cart drowned. The golf cart's drowning, and then you see the cart like just go right into
the water. Yeah,
it's kind of that real dark comic humor where when Defense first climbs over the railings and walks up the golf course, and there's the two rich dudes there. And the guy's saying, "Look, is this one of the staff workers or something like that? He's not wearing the correct uniform." And the guy starts shouting and cussing at him, and his friend's like, I don't know, you may want to calm down here, may want to chill a moment. The guy doesn't kind of look too friendly. So again, it's going to pop off. But the way it's done is you've kind of given this example of someone that's super, super rich, not really caring, if you like, who, I'm used to owning everything. What are you doing on my golf course, etc., etc. Where if there'd been a bit of friendlier dialogue, the whole thing could have been avoided. But of course,
just go right through.
He got Defense literally on his worst day, worst encounter ever, and it's like, oh, so that's what you think. Shoots up his golf cart. Guy's obviously sadly has a heart attack, saying, "Where Defense asking, as you said, Ross, where are your pills?" They're on the car, and you see his buddies chasing the car. I mean, it is dark humor, folks, the way it's done. It really is. Yeah. It's just like, well, it kind of words to this effect. If you'd asked nicely, I wouldn't have had to shoot up your golf cart.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you could have just let him walk through without saying nothing to him, you know what I mean? But the guys threw a fit. And again, it was like that, golfing class, high class sport, versus like defense, working class.
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah, and the next scene where he comes across that family in the surgeon's house, which does relate to this final act because it's mentioned. Yeah, and he hears the cops in the background, so he grabs the guy's daughter and takes some of them. So obviously the guy and his wife, and there's another kid as well. They're obviously worried for the safety of the child. But we're revealed some more backstory in the Defense. This is that subtle hint. Look, I think, I've got a family too. I've got a daughter. It's a birthday today. I'm trying to get home for a birthday. This is his whole kind of driving point. I think he maybe drops in that he was fired from his job. I think he maybe says himself, if I've recalled correctly.
Yeah.
And the way this is done, although this guy's obviously turning into a full-blown psychopath, there's no doubt about it, but it does play on that kind of emotion in you to feel some sympathy for him. of look, this is what's happened, this is what's led to this guy, you know, going crazy, if you like, all of these things, circumstances that happens, and the way they bring, so this brings us back to that final act, Prendergast and defense talking on top of Santa Monica Pier there, and Wall Street, I think I need you to save me, because just as I'm about to make that point, I've mentally evaporated live on air in true PXF style, professionally. You know, I've notes and everything. I will send you something on a package to make up for this. I don't know. Gas special gift to submit.
I was gonna say, like, going back on the golf scene too, like I just had a couple points on that is that's again like the middle class upper class kind of clash. And he mentions it at one point, like, hey, I've been working kind of my butt off for this country as a defense engineer, and I lost my job, and you guys are here in this private, beautiful golf course, and you can feel the tension of that like clash, and the people are being dicks to him, right? Essentially,
they don't want to hear it. They're just like, hey, we're used to getting our way. You know?
Exactly. So that, and then yes, it does play into the next scenes as well. And I even like when we're talking about the Santa Monica scene and like how Prendergast like starts the conversation. Like he's sitting kind of just chilling on the side and he's eating popcorn, like very casually, is how he starts to talk to him. And I love that dynamic between these two actors too, because there's a relationship there. Prendergast is frustrated kind of with the way that his career went, even though it's his last day, but he still wants to do his job and do the right thing. And then obviously Defense is frustrated with his situation and wants to do what's right for his family, even though it's kind of completely spiraled out of control.
100%.
And Prendergast is still
parallel story.
And Prendergast is still wanting to save him. Sorry, I think I've been calling him Prendergast. So it was where my mind is today. But anyway, but that whole scene with, and I say we find out he was fired. Defense was fired from his job, and he says to Prendergast, "Did you know I built missiles to help save this country?" And Prendergast says, "Yes, I did." And he says, "And that's how I'm rewarded." And then he refers back to the surgeon's house where the family were having a barbecue. That wasn't the doctor there with it; it was the caretaker's family.
Yeah, exactly. He just let.
And he says,
the mansion or traveling.
And it suggests, and again, it's commenting, "Oh, hey, we've rewarded someone to say who's doing cosmetic surgery, and make people look good, etc." And here I've been building missiles to help defend this country, freedom, democracy, etc. And this is how I'm rewarded. And that's when Prendergast, I think, replies with, "Is that what all this is about? You're upset about because they lied to you? They lied to everybody. They even lied to the fish," which references his first opening line when Defense is saying to his wife, just when they meet, and she says, "You need help. You're sick," and he says, "You think I'm sick? It's sick all around here." And then that's when Prendergast says, "You think I'm sick? I used to fish here, and the poison the fish. You can't bathe here, or you'll get some bacterial disease."
Can't even swim.
The whole way it's linked together. It's Robinson, I think, is excellent.
Yeah, really nice, clever writing.
And like Wall Street was saying, when Prendergast is eating the popcorn, chilling, waiting for him, it's like the veteran cop, not losing his cool, like, oh my God, he's got his daughter and he's got a gun. Like, you obviously don't just start shooting at him because you could hit a bystander. So he approaches it like much more cool-headed, showing that he is the veteran cop, not like some rookie that's just gonna start shooting in his first day on the job type of thing. So it's like it establishes both, the defense contractor veteran and versus like the veteran cop. But so the whole monologue when he's what does Adele give Foster? She gives him, I think, is he eating popcorn or is it the ice cream?
Popcorn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Popcorn,
so he puts the gun down. Prendergast signals to his wife to kick the gun away, and that's how Prendergast is able to corner him without the wife and kid being in the middle of the damage targets, and that's where they have the kind of final back and forth that you're referring to, the epic defense monologue Gaz said, which is like, obviously the line is, "I'm the bad guy," you know, as in
and the shock on his face as well.
Defense,
I'm the bad guy now.
It's a question, you know what I mean?
He doesn't view himself as a bad guy at all.
Right.
It's more
how
of
did
just
that happen?
Right. It's bringing justice.
I'm standing up for consumerism.
I'm doing right for my family.
Yeah, standing up for the downtrodden, all of us being not being downtrodden by society. So like, I'm the bad guy. How'd that happen? You know what I mean? It's like,
love that.
When it explains it, well, how'd that happen? You know, I designed missiles. I fought for the country, and you know what I mean? Hell yeah. But you know what I mean? Obviously the plastic surgeon reference, but when they get into the back and forth about Prendergast saying like, all right, dude, it's over, just like we're gonna take you in type thing, and he's basically saying like his daughter needs to get the whatever it is, the severance or something like that.
Insurance, right? Life insurance.
Yeah. So I thought that was always a pretty sick angle too. Like, it's kind of shows the whole point of him, like he knew this was a possibility, so he knew that
he was willing to take the standoff.
Have to go out to get if he becomes the collateral damage, then like at the very minimum, he wanted his daughter to former wife or family to ever get the life insurance, and like he did it all for them in a weird way, if you can believe the ending of this movie.
Yeah.
So
he was so fed up that he was willing to die,
expire himself,
to stand up for what he believed in,
and let the proceeds go to his family.
And you have more on Prendergast's journey as well, because I think this is when he's just before that he's openly commenting on his wife, the move to Arizona when they've retired, how she thinks this kind of like lake is a paradise, and he's like, it's just like a mud pit kind of thing. And we see more of that in this, the last kind of scene, I guess, of this. We'll get to the captain exchange as well, which is awesome. So his characters, it's like, we're losing defense, but it's like Prendergast has now reached his limit.
Like he's becoming another defense, you know?
And it's that duality where they've both, as you were saying earlier, have both kind of been reaching the breaking points just in different ways.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, that's what's so cool about both story arcs. It's like they're both having their own falling down, crash out. One is last day of a cop. One is obviously, had been out of work for a month, but is snapping on society. But so Foster tells Prendergast he has a gun on him. He draws on him, gets him. It's obviously his daughter's, it's a Dell squirt gun actually, and Prendergast obviously has no choice, so he disposes of him, eliminates him. But the falling concept over the railing is the final falling down climax, Foster into the water,
And he's still joking too. He said, I would have got you. I would have got you with this. I still would have got you.
He did get him on the quick draw. He just didn't have the gun. And then
it's the war pistol in it,
Yeah. One of the best, like, final standoff scenes of all time. Obviously, Foster's ending, absolutely amazing. Two genius level actors between Duval and
Duval was excellent in this, and then you've got kind of the closing scene, I guess, and there's all the reporters interviewing the police, etc., and that is when there's Prendergast's captain talking to one of the reporters, and he's saying something like, "Oh no, it was our department that had to come down here and deal with it and essentially save the day." Blah 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 blah. And he says, "Here, Sergeant Prendergast." Here's Sergeant Prendergast is coming in. Prendergast says, "I want to say this politely, with it being YouTube. F you, Captain. F you very much."
Everybody wants to tell the boss off.
So good, and it was
amazing,
and it was nice to see that turnaround, because earlier in the film, the captain had called him a coward outside of his office. So it's that turnaround, and then there's the genius hint where Prendergast then goes to sit with Defense's wife, and she's at the house. Sorry, is it Dell? His daughter. His daughter. Sorry, Dell. His daughter. Sorry about that, folks. And she asks what his name is or something, and he says Mud, and he says, at least that's what it's going to be when my wife finds out I'm still a cop. So I took that. Did you two take that as he wasn't going to retire. He was going to stay on as a
Pretty
cop.
much.
That's what I took. Yeah, that's what I took it as too. Because he didn't want to retire and go to Arizona. You know, just crapping on Arizona.
He should get a promotion after solving that case, because everybody at the department was telling him, like, "Hey, dude, you're following."
Yeah, they didn't believe him.
Foolery. It's not the same guy. They don't think that the same guy would come out of the traffic jam, break up the store, then shoot the gang members, then kill the other dude and blow up the construction site. Like, because if you weren't following it closely, why would all these crimes be connected? They're all seemingly, in terms of modus operandi, totally different crimes. But Prendergast is the one who put the evidence together to come down there and confront him, catch him, and stop him. You know what I mean? So it's like he should get like a higher promotion to captain or whatever.
And there is an exchange with Defense's wife just before he talks to Adele, the daughter, because she asks him, should her birthday party still go ahead? How do I tell her? And says, let her have a birthday today.
Tell her tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Still put that human element on the film. We had an excellent question from Fire Pixie who said, does this feel like it's a sequel to They Live?
Yeah, definitely some similar.
Ross brought this up yesterday.
Definitely some similar consumerism themes. Tough to say a full-out sequel because they both
definitely up there, though, isn't it?
Different directions, but there's other. You could make an argument. Fight Club has similar themes. I mean, there's definitely not. There's several movies that tackle this kind of stuff. Even the book Generation X has some similar themes. Adele's happy to see him, but Beth wants him to leave. Prendergast arrives and distracts Foster long enough to throw the gun in the ocean. Prendergast holds him at gunpoint, urges him to surrender, complains about the social inequalities, but not accepting them as an excuse for his rampage. With nothing left for him, Foster tricks Prendergast into shooting him dead. Having asserted himself, Prendergast decides to hold off on retirement. So it basically says it right there. Prendergast calls him out on like, what were you gonna do, Foster? Like, you were gonna kill your wife and your daughter. He says he wasn't gonna. So it's an interesting. It seems like that's what he's gonna do, because why else was he going down there? And he's already been killing people all movie. So that part's kind of open to interpretation. But the way they pointed it, it looked like that's what he was gonna do.
His response too seemed like Defen's response was almost like he was unsure as well.
Right.
Like, was I going to do it? And you could tell like he wasn't sure if he was going to do it or not.
Which fit the story arc, because he didn't plan any of these crimes in the movie. Most of them he just reacted to in the moment. Exactly. Like when he killed the surplus guy, obviously.
They do drop two subtle hints earlier. Defense's wife, when she calls the cops to come round, and pretty much she wants, I think, like protection duty put on the house, more or less. To stop him coming around. She's saying he's got a violent temper, and it's, did he ever hit you or the child? And he says, well, kind of, but not really, saying she felt in danger, but he didn't. That is picked up upon again later when Defense goes back to the house and he's watching a VCR tape and he's stroking the Labrador, and there's a disagreement at Adele's birthday party, and he's saying to his wife, just put her on a horse. So it's showing you that this temper, this violent side was in him. So it's something has brought that out and is full, it's obviously been the catalyst for it to manifest. And also a gap in the police system process, because they're intentionally telling her, like, if he didn't directly threaten you or do something to you, then we can't give you that detail protection on the house. Meanwhile, this guy has destroyed a store, blown up a construction site, blew away surplus guy, but the fact that they don't know that he did all that day, like, oh, well, we can't give you security. You know what I mean? It's like he's done much more violent. I mean, it's all done very comedic. I mean, we're all sat laughing, and it's got that dark humor. But it's a serious point. But there's a serious point, because how many abuse cases has that happened where it's gone unreported, and then sadly they've flipped over because they didn't come around and do anything just because that person wasn't assaulted, but there was that danger there, and then it's always, well, what if we'd actually done something or got there sooner? So I think that was the whole theme there. Pointing out, still relevant today. It still happens today. In terms of reporting crime. But we've been going over 120, guys. It's a classic, but let's get to our Yeah,
get
can't tell we're big fans of it too much, can you?
Yeah, we're gonna rate this
scene is so good.
right.
Yeah.
We're gonna rate this very lowly. We just talked about it for an hour and a half.
Yeah, 0.
yeah, definitely 0.
Good stuff. Feel free to drop your ratings in the chat, guys. It's got a 7.6 on IMDb. I gave it an 8, but I mean, I'm anywhere between an 8 and 8.5. I think it's fantastic, amazing pacing, directing, acting from the 2 leads, music, sound effects. What do you guys think? Wall Street, you want to do your rating first?
Sorry, I jumped in.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, rating. I think I'm at about the same. I'm always reluctant to put things in the 10 category, but I'm at like 8.5, 9. Like I think Duval, obviously Douglas. Obviously, you see the name Wall Street. Big Michael Douglas fan. I both think they did amazing in the movie. The writing was incredible. The pacing, it was almost a 2-hour movie, but it didn't feel like a 2-hour movie because of the pacing and the writing. The comedic sarcasm aspect I liked. And then, of course, the very real aspects of, hey, I won't say what I do in my normal job, but let's just say I work a corporate job. And I felt some of these societal pressures. So very relatable. And I loved it.
Yeah, it's a lot of American business tropes like commuting, commuting trope, office routine tropes, and all that. Just like similar to Fight Club, the early scenes of Norton breaking out of the office job. A lot of people swear that Wall Street is the spitting image of Patrick Bateman, but I've always maintained that he's closer to a D-Fens, a Foster.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
It's just one commute. He's one LA.
Exactly. One commute away.
Well, there's the sequel.
Hey guys.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. Which people will be in shock. Like, wow, this guy's been rating movies highly for once. Because usually I'm eternally miserable.
3s and 4s if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
That's fair.
The writing is absolutely excellent. The acting, even from the minor characters, just helps knit this whole film together. The pacing, you're so right, Wall Street. It's like, considering this is a 2-hour movie, it felt like 5 minutes. The humor, the way it's done, it's witty because it's that social commentary both on business, class, a decline in society as well. All well done. So many memorable, iconic scenes from Whammy Burger, the golf course, the construction scene as well with the rocket launcher. So I'm a 9 out of 10, and I put it up there with They Live, which we're all big fans of as well, because no matter how many times you watch this, and like you, Ross, I've only seen it a few times, but there's so many things you notice or other things that you've missed. And I mean, Douglas himself said he thought this was one of his absolute probably best performances. I think he's very good in Black Rain as well. That was another classic. And it's such a powerful film that people will always be able to relate to and resonate, whether that's going to be AI running a fast food joint, probably serving you something that was done in 5 seconds but still looks like a well-packaged turd. So, classy end there as usual from the Limey, but oh well, isn't it?
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point.
The bit of the British perspective there, absolute classic, and like we said, only gets more relevant with every cycle of this economic decline, inflation, automation. As Gaz said, it's amazing because those characters are whatever they were at 40s, 50s, maybe when those actors played them. So they were like representing that generation, and then it's like them aging out of the workforce or whatever in the early 90s. And look at it now, it's 2025, you know what I mean? So we're still reviewing the film and talking about it. But go ahead, guys.
So let me put a painful question to you. We were talking a little bit about this off air, and we have done for years. And I'll put this open question to the chat. I personally don't think there should be a sequel, and I don't think it needs to be remade, but do you know it? Is there going to be a sequel or remake, and should we be frightened?
I could answer the second part first, which is, we should absolutely be frightened.
I concur.
I saw it come up a couple of times, and I think they did have it on IMDb. You know how things kind of just float in development hell on IMDb, saying that, like, it was going to be obviously a younger character. It obviously wasn't going to be Foster because we know what happened to Defense in the movie. But I'm trying to pull up IMDb there. It's kind of choking. I just want to see what comes up if I put it in there. Falling Down 2. It's on there, but there's no update on it. I hope nothing more comes of it. The rumor I heard was that it was going to be Defense's son. I mean, we got to watch Gladiator 2,
you
Wall
mentioned
Street.
this yesterday.
This is Gladiator 2 all over again because Defense had a daughter in the movie, Hollywood.
Yeah,
Daughter! Trump administration. Yeah. There's only 2 sexes, male and female, and Defense had a daughter in the movie. So I'm tired of when they make, like, unnecessary sequels and they're like, yeah, well, it's Defense's long-lost son. It's like, dude, if it didn't happen...
Changing the plot.
You can't reach.
Cool.
You can't reach. If it didn't happen in the first movie, we don't want to see that. So yeah, I mean, I think this is the point. It needs to be a standalone.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Well.
Pixie's strict on the issue. Fire Pixie does not like remakes or sequels. And yes, I'm talking about myself in the third person, but sometimes you have to with the unnecessary sequel train.
Well, you know my thoughts on Gladiator 2. It's an absolute horror. Poor remake of the first one, and it's linked to it in the absolute thinnest threadbare ways possible. So yeah, this needs to be,
which is what they would do with Falling Down. Like, well, it's a surprise, it's his son. Just make it his daughter. Just take like a a decent actress who could pull off that type of thing, whether it's she's going to be doing action or crime or whatever, and just make it his daughter. You know what I mean? That way you don't have to do that reaching. You know what I mean? Like,
twist storylines.
There was a series, and I can't recall now. And someone out there might know it, and it's pretty recent, probably, I don't know, maybe last 5 years or something, so it's not that long ago. And he was an office worker, and he was working a corporate job, and it had a breakdown. It's kind of something similar, and then it wasn't that good. And I remember as the episodes went on, you found out the kind of the bosses and the authority behind this company were doing, experiments on the workers or something. There was an agenda there, and it was almost as if they were trying to do a bit of They Live with Falling Down, but it just wasn't. It just didn't work. It just wasn't very good, sadly. No.
Yeah. I don't think a sequel would. I mean, again, if you want to make something like this, just make it standalone, like Slipknot was saying. Don't call it Falling Down.
And it's still relevant today. Like what we've been talking about, like the underlying themes are still relevant today. So you can watch it today and still feel this, somewhat the same. So why remake it, reboot it?
You make
I'm biased, remake, of course, but
but that point.
But you're right.
That point stands. You make a remake or a reboot sequel or any of that stuff when the original becomes obsolete. Like that's like a perfect example, like The Thing, 1982, massive, right? Everybody loves it. The original, The Thing from Outer Space, I think is like 1950. So obviously people like 40, 50 years haven't seen this black and white. So that works. But like Wall Street says, all these American office worker, this is all still, still a relevant thing that people pay attention to. You're welcome. You got a dip, Wally. We're going to be watching UFC later for Seattle.
Yeah. Maybe Vin Diesel will do a remake and give you another lesson in family and how important that is not to fall down.
Family.
I gotta fight back against the establishment.
We definitely have to do another.
Next one.
Vin Diesel.
We'll do Fast 11. Yeah,
I'm sure he's going to make another 10 of them, so don't worry.
Oh yeah, they're hilarious.
That's never going to end.
We'll be back to review it.
Best unintentional comedy Hollywood has made. Like you take like a $200 million budget for like a PG-13 action movie and just comes out absolutely hilarious comedy, especially with Momoa in that one that we reviewed.
Hilarious.
But you want to do a little quick outro and give them the schedule, Gaz, and we'll hit you up next time, Wall Street.
Yeah, definitely get on with us again,
Good
Wall
show.
Street.
Catch you next time, Wally.
For joining us, man. We do have some real good ones coming up for you soon, which are going to be There is Sanjiro, Invasion USA, Pixie. You need to get working out for that because Invasion USA, one of the
Norris. So this is what I want to put to you guys. So we were going to do Desert Fiends next week, guys, because we were waiting for it to drop in April, and I guess it dropped on Amazon Prime already. So that was one of the horrors I crowdfunded. So we'll probably just do Desert Fiends next week.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you guys input too. So we pushed back Sanjuro. That was the Yokimbo semi-sequel. And Gaz has got Invasion USA on there. We have The Revenant coming up. And then Crit Rick is going to be joining us for the Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
So let us know. Wall Street will be back. Let us know what you guys, if you want Sanjuro in the mix or if you want Invasion USA, take a pic of those. Leave it in the comments or the chat. And then we'll be posting the March schedule as soon as we get that locked in. So likely, what did I just say? Desert Fiends, probably then The Revenant, Boondock Saints, and then we can then we'll maybe mix it up from there and either do Sanjuro or Invasion USA, or we want to do Horror Express as well, since we just brought up The Thing, because Horror Express is a big one. And then whatever holdovers are left, we'll bounce them over. Desert Fiends. I believe I posted the trailer under posts.
Yeah.
It's a horror comedy.
I forgot the rename.
Yeah. You think I haven't seen it? It's Chuck Norris. She probably thinks he's cute too when she started noticing things.
Bravo 20, the Andy McNabb slip. Is that about? Because isn't the what's the other one by Chris Ryan? Oh man.
Get that one on your list, Gazzy.
Yeah, I'll have to look them up.
But yeah, guys, so that's probably what we're thinking. Desert Fiends, unless you guys want us to get Sanjuro in the mix. Yeah, I've reached out to some people to get a couple more guests on for the Zodiac interview series. We're going to have more guests on Paradigm Review Show as well.
Yep.
Just saw Wall Street. Crit Rick is joining us for Boondock Saints, St. Patty's special. Jerome from Mysteries of Mission Belgique, he wants to come on for horror, so he might join us for Horror Express, guys,
nice.
or something like that. And we'll be having him from some horror movie. We don't really like double down on horrors too hard here, but like they'll be in the mix here and there. You know what I mean? Dust Devil, that sounds cool.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Look at that.
Sounds cool.
Mm.
Get that on the mix. I was just going to get rid of my ticker right here. I'm pretty sure you guys know what movie we just reviewed. So that's what it is. Bunch of stuff coming up. I found some things that I think might be significant in the Zodiac investigation in terms of Zodiac's hood inspiration, guys. So I'm thinking about putting a little PowerPoint together on that, maybe presenting it, maybe posting some of it next week. And I also have some interesting movie trailers that I'm going to post in that vein. Obviously, check out the Patreon where I did my review of the 10th Victim. Some interesting Zodiac case parallels there. And, you know, the usual guys, like, sub, share, click join for a membership. You can join for free on the Patreon with your Gmail, but you probably won't see, every post unless you are. As far as the paid posts on Patreon, those do get posted on YouTube as well for the memberships. 3 levels of memberships, Gorilla, Vigilante, and Spectre. So check those out. And like I said, yeah, we're going to be bringing back the Zodiac Files interview series. Might have a Cooper interview coming up. I know some people have been asking for that. It's been a minute. Just trying to stay on top of everything, guys. So yeah, Desert Fiends, go check out the trailer on YouTube. And I believe it's on Amazon Prime. Other than that, don't really have much to promote other than when we come back and do that review. And then I'll give you guys the schedule of Paradigm Review Show. There will be a couple new things on the channel as well. But it's hard to announce everything all at once, guys. So just stay locked. Check under posts. Anything that I need to post, I generally post it on the Patreon. That's like a highlight type of thing. But that's that. Mosh, anything on your end? You got anything cooking on the channel? Everybody head over and subscribe to Shinobi.
It's a little quiet at the moment. I am thinking of working on some test streams for some things soon, just to see how it stands up. There's something I've been looking at for me and Ross that we could possibly use for all of our channels as a whole, for the whole of PXM. So if that works, that will be good stuff. Nothing too much at the moment. We've been pretty much focusing on Paradigm reviews. I know I say this pretty much every show. I've asked us, you guys are going to talk to someone about Bigfoot or whatever. There's so much stuff that me and Ross have been talking about that we're looking at, but we don't want to say to you guys, we are. And then it's just like, there's nobody.
Tune in next week for Paradigm Review Show.
Tune in, we'll be there next week. We'll have Bigfoot himself. Yeah.
Subscribe over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, so there's going to be definitely some new shows. Definitely really probably get to Paranormal and Cryptids this year, guys. In terms of reviews, I mean, Striking Rescue, Tony Jaa. We definitely want to get the review up. Last I looked, I couldn't find the actual final copy of the film on any of the streaming services. So in terms of the Kung Fu MMA movies, if anyone knows, there were leaks on YouTube, but obviously Gaz and I are big Tony Jaa fans. We don't just want to watch some like crap bootleg of Striking Rescue when it's Tony Jaa's return in like 5 years. You know what I mean? So I'd like to watch an actual clear copy. There's a few new Atkins films out as well.
Yeah, and I am going to cause some harm to people by this next announcement. So, Amazon have apparently got the rights to James Bond.
I heard about this.
Rumored they're going to be doing a whole Bondverse with possible. This is a rumor. Money Penny series. So. Nonsense. There we go. Deep dives from behind the desk. That'll be interesting. Q walking along the beach, enjoying his favorite sherry or something.
R.I.P. The Bond.
Yeah, right. That's another one.
First. I know. Daniel Craig wasn't too pleased about it. Obviously, go check out the last stuff, the Lou Temple interview. Like, sub, share that. Covered Walking Dead, Halloween, 31. He was in a couple of movies with Denzel. He did voice work on Mafia and Killzone. So that dude has a sick resume. You can check him out on IMDb. And then, of course, the John Philbin interview of Point Break at Tombstone. I think that's it for Falling Down, guys. 1993. Go check it out if you haven't. Actually, I guess I didn't mention where to stream it, guys. I didn't quite see it on there. Let's see if they have it. It looks like it's just Prime. That's Prime. All that's coming up for me on IMDb. But who knows? You could probably find it in some other places. Yeah. I think I did post the 4K trailer on my X. You can follow me there. I've never seen it, Pixie. I've seen parts of it. I know RZA from Wu-Tang is in it, but I've never actually seen the movie. I think who's it with him in that one? Is it Jude Law? Guys, have you seen that Repo Man?
Repo Man. Oh, I've only seen it once, Lord. That's kind of like, isn't it quite musical based? Is that no, that's not Repo Man. It's not Repo Man.
They're like bounty hunter kind of dudes, and they just pull up on.
I have only once though. It was on TV, and I can't really remember it much at all.
Yeah, we're just gonna great commentary, guys. Cream of the crop.
Paradigm Review Show. I've seen it once, but I can't remember it.
Source of movie trivia. The Paradigm Review slogan. Oh yeah, I've seen that show, but I just can't remember any. I've seen that movie, but I can't remember anything about it. Like
that's an awesome review of it.
Subscribe here for genius level commentary like that. Emilio, he's in Judgment Night. That's
that college education wasn't wasted, man. You see.
Oh, Repo Man. Okay, so that's different. I don't know. That Repo Man is different from Repo Men. I don't know what that is, Pixie. But you guys can always send me trailers.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
Should we just put it on the list and take a look at it for you? And then
a young punk recruited by a car repo agency finds himself in pursuit of a Chevrolet Malibu with huge 20K bounty and something otherworldly stashed in his trunk. Yeah, it sounds sick. I'll rock with it, guys. I mean, again, I haven't seen that one. So what up, Red?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Just look out for Desert Fiends next Saturday. We'll get the March schedule posted. I'm gonna definitely be doing a couple Zodiac related things, probably Jerome's panel, then maybe might put together my own little presentation for Zodiac Files. But looking to get some interviews booked, and that's basically it right now. Stay locked on the Patreon. That's where all my Z research goes. And we're definitely gonna get Crime Spot back for Goodfellas, and everybody go subscribe to Crime Spot. By the way, Brett has a massive channel that covers Mafia, New York Channel crimes, even some food reviews and stuff. His channel is absolutely fire. So go check that out. He's got it locked over there. Follow his socials as well. Instagram. He's got all his stuff posted everywhere. Like we said, we'll probably be back for Desert Fiends on next week. And then, just keep it locked. Anything that I book, I'll post the pre-links under live, so you'll find it there. And then we try to get the updates into post too. But Falling Down, 1993, shout out to everybody who came through. Fire Pixie, Slipknot, NYC Crime Spot, Red popped in at the end there. Wall Street was with us, and we'll keep it moving. Any other recommendations, just leave them there in the live chat or pop them down into the comments.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming through. Have a good one. Good to see you, NYC as well. Red, shout out to Wall Street, and we'll see you on the next one. Good weekend, Joel. Peace out.
Oh yeah, UFC Seattle. A couple. It's Cejudo and Song, I think, is the main. I think Font is the co-main. So main card starts at 6 in about 2 hours. So we'll be tapped in with that. And yeah, down the line. I did reach out to a pretty well-known MMA fighter, guys. So we're gonna see where that goes. Maybe talk about sponsorship, and it's someone fairly big. It's actually someone who's semi-San Diego based that I wanted to reach out to a long time ago. Now they've kind of blown up, so we'll see how that happens. But yeah, I mean, Gaz and I definitely want to cover MMA in some capacity. We were kind of waiting for Conor's return to review a UFC card with Conor on it. Whether that ever happens again, I don't know.
I do have another idea for us actually, which we might be able to do outside of that, but I'll talk about that with you off air.
For sure. Well, yeah, Desert Fiends, guys, directed by Sean Phillips. Check out the trailer on YouTube. His channel, I believe, is Cool Duder, and it's on Amazon Prime. They also have a crowdfund going on for Desert Fiends 2. I obviously crowdfunded his last 2 films, Desert Fiends 1 and Skate to Hell. A little talk about me getting involved in 2, but nothing yet. So I don't know. And at some point, we'll try to put together a comprehensive PXF update. Whether Gaz and I are capable of that, we'll see.
Yeah, well, full of more commentary. Like I think I've seen it, but I can't remember it.
Gaz, what were your thoughts on this one? Oh yeah, I think I saw it one time, but I can't remember anything about it. Genius level reviewing here at Paradigm Review Show, the cream of the crop of film reviews.
Most
like, sub, share, click the bell for notifications, click join to get your membership, 3 levels of it, or get me on the Patreon. Back and forth and questions, guys. It's way easier for me to answer stuff on X. Not my favorite platform. It's just easier to respond on. I mean, I do a little bit of trace booking. People hit me with some random Zodiac questions there. It's kind of just easier to hit me up directly. So that's everything, guys. Falling Down, 1993. Great stuff. Shout out everybody who came through. We're out.
Peace.
Sub Mosh.